This poem is a fantastic use of the method of stream of consciousness, where T.S. Eliot makes a successful attempt to explore the deepest consciousness of a man who is afraid to face reality and the pressures of the pretentious society. The protagonist or the persona of the poem Prufrock has fearful and calculating attitude towards the woman whom he wants to propose for marriage. The title is The Love Song of J Alfred Prufrock, but ironically, Prufrock seems to be simply seeking excuses and postponing or delaying his proposal instead of expressing his love. Proposing a woman for marriage has always been a risky business for men since time immemorial, especially when you don't know if the girl really loves you or does she only like you as a friend. It can lead you to great embarrassment and feeling of the fear of rejection. In the love song of J Alfred Prufrock, T.S. Eliot uses dramatic monologue. Throughout the poem, the poet seems to be talking to a woman, the one he was intending to propose for marriage. The first stanza talks about the gloomy situation of the place, the gloominess of the society, the barrenness of the society, the emptiness of emotions. He tells her, let us take a walk through these gloomy streets this evening, and even the evening is compared to an unconscious patient, an etherized patient in a hospital. As he walks towards a cheap hotel in the empty streets, he's so nervous that he felt like the streets were arguing with him about his original intention of proposing to this lady. As he was getting ready to ask this woman a very difficult and overwhelming question, the speaker continues to say that, oh, please don't ask me what that question is. Let's just walk and reach our destination. A calm place where we can sit and talk. And the speaker says, as we walk into the room, I see women coming and going, talking about Michelangelo. These lines depict his inferiority complex towards women. These women coming and going out and then talking about Michelangelo symbolizes the artificiality, the snobbishness, and a pretentious society. The yellow fog is explained using the imagery of a cat rubbing its back and its muzzle upon the window pane, licking every corner, slipping by the terrace and making sudden jumps, curling itself to fall asleep in this cold October night. Fog, as we know, symbolizes something that is confusion. The mental confusion is symbolized in the fog in the streets. The messed up mind and the inability to see things clearly. Prufrock feels that there is still enough time for him to think, time to prepare himself, to put a question before the woman, till they reach the place where they can sit and enjoy a cup of tea. He tells himself that there is time to think over what he should say, the right words at the right time, but then again he sees this woman walking in and walking out, and then it was so intimidating to him. He mocks and satirizes the society, the artificiality of this woman as they talk about this great personality called Michelangelo. However, he comforts himself saying that he will have enough time to question himself. Do I dare to say what I have to say to this woman? Do I dare to disclose and confess my deepest intentions? Time will come when I will turn my back and descend down from the stairs. A time will come when I will have to say whatever I have to say, and then whatever the consequences, I'll have to turn back and then I'll have to walk away. With the bald spot on my head, he's suffering from hair fall as he is growing old, and then there is a bald spot on his head. He says that though I'm dressed well, decently in my morning coat and my collar mounted till my chin and this expensive necktie, they will say that my arms and legs are too thin, and they might notice the bald spot on my head. He is afraid and undecisive, thinking, do I dare to disturb the universe of what is meant to happen or not meant to happen by popping the question of marriage? What will happen will eventually happen, but if I pop up this question like, will you marry me? to this woman? Will it disturb the universe? He reminds himself to think and act wisely when he still has time and before the most disturbing thing happened to him. He then goes on to say that he had experienced so much about life and had lived a pretty mundane and boring life, measured out my life with coffee spoons. I'm matured enough to know about the realities of this world and the lives of people. So should I continue to take the big step of proposing and marrying? He feels that now he has time. Now he has time to decide and revise whatever he needs to say. And soon, in a minute, everything might change. Everything might turn out to be good, or everything might turn out to be disastrous. Prufrock says, I know the eyes that watch people. I know the eyes of the people that judge people and victimize a person like a worm pinned on a wall and wriggle. His helpless condition of being judged and being criticized or being rejected is compared to the condition of a worm that is pinned on a wall and wriggling. If he suddenly pops up the question saying that, will you marry me? And if the girl looks at him and starts staring at him, wondering what went through his mind to ask me such a daring question, it will be like pinning him on a wall and making him wriggle helplessly. Being judged about everything he did, he hesitates how he should begin to bring out the question, bring out the topic, and also bring out his originality and confessing to her. He is hesitant about how this woman would judge him, or if he brought out his deepest intention of marrying her. Will it be okay? Will she like it? Won't she hate me? He satirizes the artificiality of the society through the appearance of the people, appearance of the women or woman. He says that I have known many beautiful women. I've known their smooth hands. I've known their beautiful hands, the white arms of the woman with bracelets and bangles. But these beautiful arms, when you see under the lamplight, it is filled with brown hair. They are hairy, but from afar you don't see it. They look like they're pretty and they're perfect, but then when you see it under the lamplight, their originality, you find that this beauty is faking. This beauty can be deceiving. Through this, he talks about being imperfect but only appearing to be perfect. He feels numb and nervous at the smell of the woman's perfume, and the woman is seated across the table, and he needs to start a conversation but didn't know how. He needs to get to the topic of proposing, but he is finding it hard to start. He wonders, should I start by saying that I have walked through these narrow streets this evening and saw lonely people, lonely old men smoking as they lean out of their windows? Will that be all right? Will that be okay? Then he started wishing that he had never been born a human being with all these responsibilities. He wished he was just a crab with ragged claws deep in the floors of the silent sea. Even the afternoon and the evening seemed so peaceful with no tension, but here he is with a lot of tension and pressure, with the fear of rejection and undecisiveness. He wonders if he even have the strength to face the consequences after the moment of popping up the question. He had fasted, wept, and prayed for this moment. T.S. Eliot uses the biblical element of John the Baptist being beheaded. We all know that John the Baptist was beheaded by the King Herod, and the head was brought in a platter to present it to Salome. And as he had all these thoughts going on in his mind, he felt like his head was brought in a platter to serve the woman. This means that he felt that by asking this question, it could cost him his whole self-respect, his whole head. He says that he's not a prophet like John the Baptist, nor proposing a woman is a big deal. It may not seem to be a big deal, but he felt that his life was disappearing slowly before him. He was afraid, and he felt like the angel of death was getting ready to take him away. He was scared to death. He also wonders, would it be words popping up the terrible question after the tea is over. He's so nervous that he felt like it would be very awkward for him and for her as well. Prufrock says that if I speak out my question to you, referring to the lady, it would be like squeezing the whole universe into a ball and throwing it at her. A ball which, if he had thrown, will not be able to reverse back. He will not be able to take back whatever he said. It would be like Lazarus, another biblical character, Lazarus, who was risen from the dead after 3 days by Jesus. So he feels that if I pop up the question, it would be like Lazarus waking up from death to explain what happened when he died. Unbelievable, unexpected, and out of the blue. He felt in his heart that maybe the girl liked him. He thought she was attracted to him and maybe even loved him. But he doubts, what if I was misreading all these actions? What if I was misinterpreting or misunderstanding everything that she's doing? What if she actually didn't love me at all? What if she was only trying to be civilized and mannerful towards him? What if she rejects me saying, oh, I only like you as a friend? How could you even think that I love you? Or what if she says, oh, I didn't mean it that way at all? He says, will it be worth hearing those rejecting words after all the time that we spent together, after all the teacups and after all the dancing that we did? Will it be worth hearing that kind of rejection? Prufrock says that I cannot explain how I really feel deep inside. I cannot explain what is going on in my mind. And he wishes that only if there was a magic lantern, a kind of projector that will project my feelings on the walls. But after seeing that kind of projection, still, would she turn to me and say, oh, that is not what I meant at all? In the next stanza, he compares himself to be a character in Hamlet, the famous Shakespearean drama, which is famous for its theme of undecisiveness. Hamlet is the hero of the story and makes great mistakes because of his undecisiveness in taking action. But Prufrock says that I'm not the type of character of Prince Charming. I'm not a hero. I'm just an attendant who has small parts in the play and comes and gives advices to the hero, maybe good advices, maybe bad advices, but still just giving advices. Giving advices is easy. You can speak big words, but you don't need to do great deeds. So Prufrock says I should be like such an attendant to give advices, sometimes wrong advices, and always looking like a fool who doesn't need to take responsibility. He just wants to escape from the responsibility of being a human being, a man. If he was just a cat or frog, if he was a crab beneath the sea, he could escape the norms of being a human being. But now he is reminded that he is growing old. He is growing old. T.S. Eliot uses a lot of refrain and repetition to emphasize the pressure on Prufrock that he will have to propose to this woman and face acceptance or rejection, no matter the consequence. Prufrock is growing old and growing bald. He needs to adjust his hair to hide his baldness. And to fit into the society, he is hesitant to enjoy a peach to look young because that would be faking. He would want very much to escape from the worldly pressures and responsibilities and walk upon the beaches in white flannel trousers and hear the mermaid singing in a fantasy dream of his imagination. They may not sing to him, but they would sing to each other. He enjoyed seeing the mermaids in his imagination riding the waves of the sea as though they were combing the white hair of the sea. He had also roamed in the chambers of the sea beside the sea girls or mermaids covered in red and brown seaweeds. He enjoyed in deep fantasy until the human voices of reality drowns him in despair by waking him up. Also, the poem also talks about the problems of neurosis, barrenness, frustration, the boredom, isolation, and emptiness of modern urban civilization. Prufrock is a victim of the modern urban civilization where every individual is isolated and the pressure from the society is huge. So he looks for an escape from reality by basking into his imaginary world. It is also called an anti-romantic poem because of its emphasis on the ugly artificiality of the society rather than the natural beauty of the emotion of love. The setting of the poem is a tedious, busy streets, the yellow fog of confusion, the ugly drains and dirty waters and gloomy, smoky chimney. Even the very part of the day is an evening that looks like a patient, a sick, unconscious person in a hospital bed. The emotions run right throughout the poem, and the only time when he is happy is in the concluding stanza where he enjoys the imaginary mermaids. But even then, the human voices wake him up and he fails to escape reality. The main character or the protagonist or the speaker, Prufrock, is a middle-aged man who knows that he's growing old and is under the pressure of marriage. He is coward and fears rejection. He is a victim of inferiority complex as he thinks about how women and society would judge him. He suffers from low self-esteem as he has thin legs and arms and also a bald spot on his head. He depicts a person with a paralysis of heart with tendency to overthink everything. He underestimates his own capacity as a man, and he does not dare to speak out when the woman looks at him. The way she looks at him makes him feel like a worm pinned on a wall, feeling trapped. There was a short discussion on T.S. Eliot's The Love Song of Alfred J. Prufrock. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.